If your revenue has looked suspiciously similar for the last 3 years, if you're visible but not converting, if you've hired marketing help or sales help, but even at that, it still feels clunky, it's because your sales and marketing are not holding hands. And when those two, when they break up, your revenue is being affected, possibly more than you realize. And listen, I see this every single week with coaches, consultants, service providers who are trying to scale to multi six figures and beyond. They're busy, they're posting, they're out networking, they're doing all of the things. But when the messaging is fuzzy, the sales conversations can feel forced. And when you're not closing as many sales as you could, it's normal for your confidence to start to wobble a bit. And today, we're fixing that. I'm Deirdre Martin, award-winning speaker, best-selling author, and I help entrepreneurs build brands that break through six figures without burning out. And in this episode, I'm joined by someone who has built her entire reputation around answering one question: how? Kelly Jahner-Byrne, also known as the How Gal, is a sales strategist, certified speaking professional, best-selling author, and founder of the How Publishing Company and How Conferences, which stands for Helping Others Win. And this conversation is freaking powerful. We're talking why clarity beats confidence every single time, why most books don't sell and how to fix it, how speaking accelerates your authority, the difference between random networking and being in strategic rooms, and how to stop hitting revenue plateaus. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how to align your messaging, your rooms, and your revenue so 2026 becomes your strongest year yet. Let's dive in. Kelly, welcome to the Master Your Business podcast.
Good morning and welcome. Glad to be here. Morning, evening, what time of day is it? I guess it depends on where you're at.
Exactly. And whenever you're listening. Kelly, I'm so excited to have you on the show. We have been talking, I want to say, for the best part of 6 months or a year at this stage. And we've even managed to meet in person despite our different accents, which has been so fun. And we've got something exciting that we're working on together, which is even more fun. But Kelly, for those people who have never met you, you are known as the How Gal. And you help people so much with sales and networking and publishing and so many things. So I know that you meet founders who say, I know what to do when it comes to sales and networking. I'm just not doing it. What's really going on for them?
Well, I think it's two problems, simple ones. First, it's clarity of what do you sell, who do you sell it to, and confidence. It's in this day and age, I believe that it is really easy to have your confidence shaken. It does not have any bearing if you're a CEO, a CFO, or if you're brand new in a job. There's a lot of uncertainty in business today, and business is moving faster than it ever has. And because technology, the way that we sell, the manner in which people get their information delivered is changing all of the time. I think it creates a little bit of an unnerving, unsettled feeling for people. And because of that, I think that we second guess ourselves right out of a sale. I think we second guess ourselves right out of growth. And it starts with clarity. And I think that the clarity exercise used to be, we get our marketing plan, we get our sales plan down, and it was a weekly thing or a monthly thing or even a quarterly thing. Now I think it's a daily thing, and it's daily practices of clarity.
And why do you think so many smart, successful founders still feel that lack of confidence? Or, why are they not getting that clarity? What's making them resistant or avoidant when it comes to the sales process?
Well, I know for myself, sometimes it's too many choices. It's too many tools. All you need to do really is spend a few minutes on the internet, or for some people, doom scrolling, after the workday is done, and you're looking at 5 minutes to 5 million. And if you just had these 3 success factors, or if you had, blue hair, whatever it is that they're selling, it doesn't even matter. But so many people now are looking at all of the choices, and too many choices creates confusion in your brain and a lack of clarity. When you confuse them, you lose them. And so I think that we as founders or as CEOs of companies, sometimes it's a lot of noise. And you might be the leader of a very successful company, but you're still human. Still human. And no matter what happens, the human factor is always going to need to be factored in to your sales. So I try to limit the choices that I present to myself for growth and sales or marketing, whatever system we might be enacting for another part of our business. And I try to boil it down to fewer choices, because more choices is not always better choices. It's not better options.
Agreed. Yeah. More choice can lead to analysis paralysis, decision
Oh,
fatigue, all those types of things. And I totally hear what you're saying in terms of the connection between confidence and clarity and how that can impact choices as well. Which do you think comes first then in that sense? Is it confidence or clarity?
I think that that is a question I get all the time when I'm speaking, whether I'm speaking, in the US or if I'm speaking abroad, whatever, wherever I'm at, people are people. We all want to know what the next step is. And I believe that it is clarity first. You don't build yourself up with confidence, although, yes, you need to in business. We need to build ourselves up so that ultimately we are confident. But it is in knowing your next best step that clarity comes through. So whether I'm working with a coaching client or I'm speaking to a group, it could be 5 people or 5,000 people. When you can get people clear on what their next best step is, they're not looking at the 4 flights of stairs that they've got to carry something up. It's just step by step by step. And so we have to have a big picture mentality, but you need to know what your next best step is, because as you mentioned, people get into analysis paralysis. How are we getting up the whole staircase? We are getting there, and we're going to get on to step number 1 first. And clarity, I believe, I used to think that it was confidence before clarity, but as time goes on and as we help businesses become more successful, it is clarity first, because clarity breeds that confidence.
You are speaking my language. I mean, clarity is one of the first things I work on with people as well, because I think otherwise it's like you're trying to get through that forest, but there's so many trees and you just can't see the path, right?
Mhm.
And one of the things I've noticed, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is that I often see people who are really great at selling, but then they kind of hit a plateau where they might hit annual sales that are roughly the same year on year. And it's like just to get to that next level. And you mentioned the next step, but does that clarity and confidence, when they have the clarity around what that next step is, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is it then usually the strategy around that next step, or does it come back to their personal identity?
Well, I believe it's a strategy, because if you're just selling totally on personal identity, you will always hit a plateau. In my opinion, I think you'll always hit a plateau. And I think people hit a plateau because you'll shoot for just about where you need to be. I think people need to continue to set the bar higher. But a concept that I'm working on is, do we set the bar wider? Let's just say that you're in an industry and there's 4 major players. And now you have brought all 4 major players on and they're your clients. Now what? Now what? We have to think about wider. And that's where I believe that the strategy comes in. And if you are clear around what your strategy is based on what the bottom line goal is or your top line goal, right? It's going to be a lot easier for you to move. I just know that companies oftentimes build relationships with only the few key people. Okay, in this day and age, what happens when the key people leave? Your marketing plan can leave. Your sales plan can leave. Some of the corporate, culture can leave. So that's where I believe that it's important from a sales aspect and from a marketing aspect is to build relationships wide. Because when you have more coverage, you're more known. And that goes with your sales plan. I believe it goes with your marketing plan as well. It has to be an overall strategic plan that once we land the fish, so to speak, right? Once you grab that big fish, now what? Now what? My thinking has always been, what will we do when we achieve X? I focus more on what will we do when we achieve X rather than how will we achieve X, or so much energy being expended on getting just 2X. A great example is this: writing a book. So there's so many people that would love to write a book and they want to write a best-selling book. Okay, let's put yourself in the seat that it is a bestseller. Now what? Now what's the plan? And I think in organizations, individuals and organizations, we work so hard on getting to the goal that we don't know how to market or sell beyond the goal. And so that's where I think that planning and just taking it step by step leads to more clarity and less overwhelm. But I think you need to know what you're going to do once you get to where, you've worked so hard to get.
And so when you look at that and you look at the possible next steps for founders, like what types of different sales do you see them using, or ones that they're missing out that they could use? And I'm talking like direct sales, inbound sales, referrals, authority type stuff on stage, books, events, all the things. What types of sales do you see them using?
Well, I see founders and CEOs. We just did a best-selling book and we took 12 first-time authors across the finish line. That's one thing that we do with the How companies is the How Gal is the speaking aspect and the coaching aspect, but we have How Publishing. And How stands for Help Others Win. So if people are wondering, what is the How Gal? It's Help Others Win. That's our company. That's what we do. But with these 12 new bestsellers, we knew that we were going to get them to bestseller. How do we know? Well, there's no guarantee, but it's a winner's thought process. And I kept drilling down with the authors. Okay, you're a bestseller. Now what? Oh, I just can't wait to get there. Why? So I think we have to begin with the question, why? So when you're asking about, how do you apply inbound sales or outbound sales? I think you need to know why. Why do you want to achieve something? This is a trap I see happening, in the US especially. We have a lot of people that have gone fractional. They're fractional workers, from fractional CMOs to a CEO to, whatever role you have, fractional operations directors. In fact, in our company, we have fractional tech. And it's an interesting piece that for the sales part of it, we are always looking at why do we want to achieve something? And here is our magic bullet. We change our mind because sometimes your why changes, and that is okay. And I believe that sometimes companies get stuck. A bigger ship is harder to move, but sometimes companies get stuck on a goal that they're going to achieve. Here's an example. You want to write a book. It's not in your idea to be a bestseller. You just want to write a book to get the ideas out on paper for legacy. That's a great goal, right? You want to sell that book, or maybe you want to gift that book. But if you look at what is the why is I want to leave a legacy. A question could then become, a legacy to who? Just those closest to you? Or would you like to do some legacy work? And then the why changes. The why changes because of the impact you want to make. But for inbound sales or outbound sales, I think that we always need to be focusing on what is our next best step, clarity, and then asking, why is it important? Why do we want to get there? And I find with small business owners and some fractional folks, sometimes it's just a checkbox. I won't tell you that's the right or the wrong answer, because sometimes people need to have a checkbox. I did that. I bungee jumped. I'm never doing that, by the way. Not something I ever want to be doing. But if that's your goal, why? And so, the whole sales piece, I believe the days of, I don't want to say influencers are done, but I think people are questioning, why does someone have such influence? And why do people buy? Why are they buying? And
Yeah.
I believe there will always be an emotional piece in sales, whether it's inbound, outbound, there will always be an emotional piece. And I hope that there's always an emotional piece, because it's people that are involved in the process.
Oh, I love everything you've just said there. And again, so aligned with the type of work that I do with my clients in terms of building their brands as well. We always come back with starting with why and what are your fundamental beliefs around that. But I also love what you said about showing up with that winning mindset. I think that's the conviction that you need to show up with every day in your business. And when you're missing that, well, then people can feel it and they're less likely to connect and engage with you and want to buy from you. And Kenny, talking about sales, one of the things that, again, I've seen with clients is that sometimes they get stuck in that, again, revenue plateau almost. And in terms of moving forward, what is the fastest path to revenue versus the most sustainable path to revenue growth?
Well, I think a fast path to revenue is obviously understanding who you're selling to. I think that is massively important. You've got to understand your client. Otherwise, you're never going to get, across the finish line, whatever that finish line is for you, right? But I do believe that when people get to a plateau, I think you have to look at, is there more money in the market, right? I guess if you're taking the assumption that you can make more and there is more money in the market to be made, I think sometimes the revenue plateau comes back to systems. What are your systems in place? In the last year, we've implemented a different CRM system. Painful, really painful. But once you get past the pain of implementing the system, now you have an understanding of why you are at where you're at. I do believe that revenue plateaus, it depends on your industry, and it does depend on, what you're doing. If you're working with a two-person operation, could they go to tens of millions? I suppose in theory they could, but I think you have to be realistic as well as where can you collaborate to sell more, market more, and earn more. So the revenue plateau, I think, also is a mindset. We've always done it this way. If we continue to go, we've always done it this way, I think in some cases that will hurt us. But I believe when it comes to people skills, people are people. We've evolved, but we haven't changed. We still need to be seen, heard, loved, trusted, liked. Those are basic needs. And I do believe that when you really sharpen your skills, you increase the ability to get past a revenue plateau because you're growing yourself as a person as well. I see it in salespeople that, the old school salespeople. I've been in this industry for 30 years and this is how we do it. And then all of a sudden something changes. Well, what changed? Some of the players are not the same. So it's the people that changed, right? So are you continuously building the relationships with the new people that you have? So a revenue plateau for me brings in three basic questions. What has changed? Why has it changed? And how are we going to best address the changes?
Oh, three great questions for people to reflect on when they're listening. And you mentioned there, as you were talking about marketing more and selling more. In your world, where does marketing end and sales begin?
I think that they have to be connected. I don't believe that marketing can be going one direction and sales is going the other. We see that in regimes that are changing. So if sales is old school and marketing is new school, sales might not be using the marketing strategy and plan. They may be just going down, well, this is what I've always done. And, I'm experienced and I know the industry. Well, then what you start to do is you start to, bend the resources because you're wasting money on marketing. There are more organizations today, I believe, that are wasting money on marketing because sales and marketing aren't hanging out together. This is a good time to get together and have a pint and have a chat so that you've built a relationship inside of your own organization between sales and marketing.
I'd love for you to share an example of a really great sales conversation that went well because marketing did its job first.
Well, when marketing does its job first, you have the right messaging. Because what happens when salespeople are saying something other than the messaging, then that's not a good thing. Here would be a simple example, a brand we all can understand, Nike, their tagline, just do it. Okay, if you are, and this is brutal, but let's just say that you are very unhealthy looking, severely overweight, and you're the Nike sales rep, well, you're not just doing it, you're doing something else, right? And so I think that in that, kind of grossly contrasting example, people could understand that you need to speak and look like what you're marketing. For me, the How Gal, that's a strange name, right? It's a weird name that we've had since 2017 when we rebrand it. So how, people don't come to me to learn how to do anything. right? I don't show people how to do them. People come to me because they want to be helped. And in sales, more people want to be helped than gotten. So when we start using language like we need to get more sales, I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We need to help more people achieve what they want with the products or services that we have. And marketing needs to be in alignment with that so sales can continue to put out the message. When it's not congruent and it's not consistent, then we have chaos. And there's where your lack of confidence comes in because it's a lack of clarity. So it's, for me, it's very, very simple. And sometimes people say that, well, I'm in sales and marketing. I believe marketing is in sales and sales is in marketing. And if they're ever not holding hands, the relationship is broken,
I agree.
and we have chaos then. So
Yeah.
I think it's two separate interwoven tasks that have to happen within a company, or even if you're a solopreneur or a small business owner with just limited staff, you need to look at it, because I don't think one exists without the other. There are not just great salespeople. I believe that great salespeople are great little marketers as well, because they take the message and they bring it to life because they solve the problem. And then the money exchanges hands.
Yeah, I love that. And same principle in my mindset, and an analogy that I use to help people understand this a little bit better is if there's an airplane in the sky, you've got two engines, one on each side. One is sales and the other is marketing. If one of those engines dropped, the plane is going to be in trouble. It's not going to get to its destination as easily as it could, and vice versa. Because you mentioned about marketing and the impact that can have on sales and that messaging alignment. How can people take feedback from the sales side to sharpen their marketing and their messaging?
They absolutely should take it from the sales side as well. Two scenarios. If you have a sales relationship, an existing sales relationship, let's call it a mature long-term sales relationship, and the salespeople are seeing that, XYZ company is struggling because what we're selling them isn't working and it's not a product development or a service development type issue. What could be happening is that the salespeople are, not in alignment with what the message actually is. So the sales folks should be telling what's going on out in the industry so marketing can sharpen the saw. If something isn't selling and you have good salespeople, I would look at a couple of things. I would look at, what are the salespeople telling? Are we overselling our boots, right? Are we over marketing? And I see that a lot. And that is in a lack of customer service. Look at big brands, Walmart. They're not known for customer service. They're known as the low price leader. So if you go into Walmart looking for a higher end store experience, well, then whose fault is that? Is it the customer? Could be. But, Walmart is known as the low price leader. That is what they market to, and that is what they get. And that's what their customers are looking for. So the sales process and the marketing process it's on brand. It's on task. But if you have a little boutique shop and you're very service focused and, everything is very nice, people will have an expectation because that's your message. They're not walking through the door. If they find cheap goods in there, then the messaging is off, right? You're trying to be something to everybody. And that is where salespeople get really frustrated, is when marketing doesn't listen to what's going on or they haven't done their market research. So that is where you really do have to have a partnership. When teams in sales and teams in marketing are at odds, I just see frustration and I see a lot of dollars that go out of a company. Just serious dollars go out of a company. But I think the time needs to be spent on good marketing so that you actually know what you're selling. I find so many salespeople don't really know what they're selling.
I see that with founders as well. And like a lot of the people listening are solopreneurs, and they're scaling their business to several 100,000 and they struggle with their offer. And because they're not clear on their offer, you said, if you confuse, you lose. I say that same statement. A confused mind will never buy, but also a confused mind will never sell because you don't know your offers, right? And for people who are listening, Kelly, if they have their sales and marketing fully aligned, what could that look like inside their business?
Well, if your sales and marketing are really aligned, one thing is you have peace. And I think a lot of founders and small business owners would like to have a little bit more peace, knowing that things are working and there is the factor of time that everything, you can't just put together a marketing campaign and poof, and the next morning, you go viral. Yes, companies do that, but let's be realistic. For those people that are scaling their business to, maybe you're trying to get to your first 100K and now you've had offers that are at 2 or 3,000. You have experience now. So unless you're going to stay in the 2 or 3,000 lane and you want to grow and serve more of them, then there's got to be more of you to be able to do that. And I see oftentimes as founders or solopreneurs, small business owners are trying to scale to their next couple of 100,000 or maybe get to their first million, you need to either kind of increase who you're working with, or you need to go a little bit wider. There needs to be some sort of a system in place that you can serve more. Otherwise, that's where people get stuck on that money milestone. And if you want to stay in that lane, that is okay. I see it with coaches. A coach charges, hypothetically, $5,000 for a coaching package. Well, you have so much bandwidth. So yes, you can grow to a point, but unless you can invent more hours or a more rinse and repeat, or an introductory program that is a lead generator that you market, that where you get some lower hanging fruit, it will be very difficult. You will always have this same book of business and your prices will increase with, your 3% or whatever. And for some people, that's what they want. And that is okay. But if you want growth, you better be talking to marketing and continuously analyzing what's happening in the marketplace and keep sharpening your message. The sharper you get your messaging, the clearer the funnel is. The customers that are looking for you or need what you have, you will connect. You'll find one another.
Oh, yes. Oh, just agree with everything you're saying, Kelly. I think this is why we get on so well. I'm like, it sounds like the kind of thing I'd say as well. I love it. And it's so nice to hear other people who are on the exact same wavelength. It's great. And Kenny, let me just go back and ask you about the books and the speaking events and the stages and stuff like that, and how, when they're done right, that they can help you grow your business, exceed that
Absolutely.
revenue plateau and that sales and marketing piece, bringing that together.
So I wrote my first book in 2001, and I went down the traditional self-publishing path, and I wrote the book it was a checkbox. To be very transparent is I love books. I'm an avid reader. And as a young gal, I loved to be at the library. I'd ride my bike to the library and I loved books. And I think knowledge is really, really powerful. So when I wrote that first book, bear in mind at the time I was, I know we've got an international audience, but I was Mrs. Minnesota at the time. So here I am, a corporate woman, and I ran to be Mrs. Minnesota and I won. And during that time, I had a great mentor that said, because I've been a speaker for years, many, many, many years, more than 25 years. And a mentor of mine said, you need to write that book now. And I wrote that book on volunteerism. Okay, these are lanes, right? I'm a corporate gal working in the hotel industry. I'm speaking and I'm Mrs. Minnesota. How did I make that work for me? Well, I wrote about my volunteer experiences because everything that I had a chance to learn in marketing and in sales and in nonprofit and all these, I wrote about. And that book then became a calling card. And a book is, it's a forever thing. So that book, Volunteer for Life, became, we sold it. We sold like 2,500 copies of it. It was a crazy experience and it was really, really fun. And the process in which I wrote it was, it was fast. We wrote it over a weekend and a couple of months later it was done. So we do things with speed. That is our marketing line. We do things that are excellent and we do them at a pace. So fast forward, I have this book and, volunteer work is a heartbeat of our world, right? We all need that. It's a great training ground. It's a great place to practice your marketing skills. It's really a great place to practice your sales skills because who's going to beat up a volunteer, right? We're volunteering to do good, right? For heart association or cancer research or whatever. So fast forward, as I grow my business and I leave the corporate world, I know that a book is an incredible marketing tool, but most people don't know how to use it. You know, Deirdre, it's just so frustrating that people are like, yep, I want to write a book, and they have zero plan. Well, my philosophy is if you're going to write a book, then write a bestseller. And there is a strategy behind that. So last year, before my birthday in August, my publishing friend said, you know, you need to get your book going. And I'm like, well, I want to self-publish it and put my own name on it, which we did. We wrote the book in 33 days. So from pen, because we did do pen to paper conceptually, and then of course, you know, typing away. From that time to the release of the book was 33 days, and it went bestseller in 5 categories. How did we use that to market? We took the message, which is how to win, right? So help others win to win. That's our whole theme. So the title was a marketing piece, and it's truth. So marketing doesn't work either if it isn't truth. You can do it, but I know in your experience, it doesn't last. It's got to last.
Yeah.
So this book, once you have your book, what most people think is that, oh, we're going to sell tons of copies, you know, in a bookstore online. No, you take that book with you everywhere you go, and it becomes your calling card. And I don't want to let people say that it's an expensive calling card. It becomes your calling card because you add value to it in the way you present it. And those are some of the tactics and sales strategies that our company uses with How Publishing to help people build brand authority and to build sales, you know, just sales exceptional results. But so many people don't do that thing I said early on. Okay, once you have it, right? Once it's in your hot little hand, the book, now what do we do with it? What's the plan after? And I believe that if you have clarity on the plan after and after, it makes taking that next best step simple. And you stop being paralyzed with imposter syndrome and, you know, oh, is this going to work? Fear is going to be with you all the time. It's just part of it. But fear and excitement live in the same heart-shaken world. Flip fear to excitement, not blind excitement, but flip it to excitement. And your next best steps, you just focus on that, the rhythm of the next best step. And you forecast, what do we do once we get to this pinnacle and this pinnacle? That's the dreaming in business. Entrepreneurs need to be dreamers.
Yeah.
A little bit of a dreamer. Marketing has to be dreamers. Because how do you exist? But this book, literally, when used properly, is an incredible marketing tool. It's an incredible sales tool. It's an incredible authority tool. And it can really make the finance people happy because it builds the bottom line.
And what if somebody says, Kelly, I'm not ready to write a book?
Good luck, Chuck. Nobody's ready to write a book. If you're ready to write a book, you should have done it 5 years ago, my opinion. But, you know, here's the deal. Most people spend their life getting ready to get ready, and then they're dead. And then somebody else is getting you ready for the presentation, if you know what I mean, the viewing. So you're never going to be ready. So how do you get confident or comfortable with not being ready? Get your marketing message down so you can lean back and rest confidently that we've done the work. And then every small success, you should tuck it behind you in your mind and don't rest on your laurels. I believe that is a kiss of death, but tuck it behind you and say, you know what? I just need one little confident inch. You know, when we stand, we've all probably done it. We've stood in a line for something, for Disney, for concert tickets, to enter a theater. We've all stood in line. And there is something about standing at the very back of the line that is daunting. I look at business as like being in a line. What's interesting, if you were just to do that little inch forward, that little shuffle forward, if you did that continuously and you were in a long line continuously for 30 minutes, how far would you be? It's the same thing with exercise. It's the same thing with marketing. Get the idea down. Just sketch something. That looks good. Put it behind us. Step forward. And so many people are getting ready to get ready that if you would just put something down on paper and then just keep writing and writing, it's easier to take stuff off the menu than it is to dream up what's going to be on the menu. And then surround yourself with people. Anybody that says they're a self-made man or a self-made woman or a self-made millionaire is lying to themselves, and they're lying to the world. Because how do you get to $1 million if somebody didn't buy your stuff? So that self-made, I believe, is a selfish and term that is, I think it hurts your business. So we don't ever say that. We have a team of people. Even when I was a solopreneur, I sought out advice and I purchased services from other people. So nobody makes it on their own. And I believe that when you use a book, you're able to share your knowledge with many. When you use good marketing strategies, you can share your ideas with many. And when you bring good marketing people on, you bring another bigger brain, because I don't believe any one person has all the answers, for sure.
Mm, That's such great advice. Everything you said there, folks, take note, and great advice. You are ready to write your book, is the answer you'll get otherwise.
Yeah, you're going
And
to always get that answer. You're ready to write your book unless you don't. I would say what you should do is, if you don't know what you want to write about, if you're at this juncture where I want to write a book because I just want to write a book, then what I would do is I would brainstorm 3 basic topics. What are 3 things that you know something? You don't need to be an expert to write a book. What are 3 things you know something about? And if you know a lot about something, then there's your lane.
Amazing. And when people get that concept and idea out and they're in the writing stage, how can they use that book before it's even published or a bestseller to start better conversations?
Marketing. So when we did our book, our first book, and remember, this is 2001. This is before some of our listeners were probably even born, I'm gathering, or some of our listeners were maybe just starting out in their businesses too, as well. So when we did that, what we did is we knew that we could have a cover design. We didn't know what all of the content would be. And in fact, we changed direction of how the book would be written a couple of times, but we figured out, we knew that the title was going to be volunteer. It was centered around volunteerism. And we made it very simple. We didn't overthink it. It was called Volunteer for Life. Because at that point, I had been a volunteer since I was 7 years old. My mother voluntold me, you will show up here, right? So I knew that I had gained so much from being a volunteer. I'd learned skills from being on the radio, to writing a marketing plan, to sales skills, to understanding what a P&L was, and everything in between, what a silent auction was, and all of the things that go into many different facets of fundraising. We did that book and we had that tagline, Volunteer for Life. We didn't quite yet have, the achieving your personal and professional goals. We didn't quite have that yet, but we created a mock-up cover that we were able to use when I spoke and when I was, telling people about it. And we used that literally, because the process was, we wrote in May and then we did editing and all of that. And the book was in my hot little hand in August, which is very fast for the time. But we used it to, create curiosity. I know marketers love that. That's music to your ears. We used it to create curiosity. Think about this for a second. You have a corporate gal that's Mrs. Minnesota coming in to speak for, let's just say, a chamber of commerce. Curiosity was peak. She's a corporate gal, and, obviously I'm beating up the pageantry world, right? But does this girl have any brain in her head, right? Because we may have that stigma. I can tell you that if anybody's getting across the finish line, there's a lot of brain in that head, because it takes a lot of brain to do that. So it created enough curiosity, because the tagline, Volunteer for Life, was, what is she going to talk about? And so that curiosity drove some book sales as well. So I would say that if you're writing a book and you want to use it for good marketing, think about what your title will be, but don't get stuck on it. Don't get analysis paralysis. Short, sweet, and to the point. Simple, understandable, interesting, curiosity.
I think that's a great connection as well between having the book out there and then the speaking gigs that can come with it, even before the book goes live, potentially. And because I know you do a lot of conferences, Kelly, and you work with people about this area as well. So how does speaking accelerate sales for people? Can you touch on that?
Absolutely. Most people would rather die than be in the front of the room, right? Get up and speak. And women, so I'm speaking to all of our women listeners. Women oftentimes shrink, back rather than taking the microphone. I believe that there are some great tactics that, when you can get up in front of the room and speak a little bit, it gives you authority. It's like we've been taught, right? The teacher's in the front of the room. They have more knowledge than we do, which is not always the case, right? Just because you're in front of the room doesn't mean you're the smartest one in the room. But speaking takes a level of courage. And courage takes sometimes a little bit of clarity. Lots of people are courageous and don't have crystal clarity, but they do know that there is a purpose. So when you're in front of the room and you've got this book and you're in business, it's a trifecta, I believe. So I believe that there are more people that have a book in them with some great knowledge to share than is coming forward. And even though on Amazon, there's millions and millions of books that go up, that are there and available, I believe that it is an incredible communication tool and an incredible marketing tool. It will grow your sales. We have one author that wrote their book and has great content, but they didn't have a strategy. There was no marketing strategy behind the launch. Well, what do you suppose happened to the book? There was very, very few sales. So do you know what we did? We pulled it down. And we're back in the drawing board because, it wasn't printed or anything. It was just available on Kindle. And we pulled it down because there were so many things wrong. We didn't think the marketing through. So we helped that client think the marketing through. So I believe when we are ready to launch shortly, that it will go bestseller. We're good at that.
Fantastic. Yeah,
We're good at that. Yes.
You're amazing at that. And
we only want to publish bestsellers. So if you want to publish a book, come to us. And if we don't think we can help you, we'll refer you, because not all business is good business.
Oh, I love that too. That totally aligns with me as well, Kelly. I'm the same and I do the exact same thing. Like, you can't help everybody, you can help a select few, and that's better. And Kelly, for the people who are going to leverage their book, or whether they do or they don't have a book, how can they, you mentioned sales from the speaking opportunities. So how could they potentially turn one speaking opportunity into multiple revenue streams? Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So one speaking opportunity, this is a great example because it's a real one and it just happened. So I spoke at an event, and in the audience at the event, there was about 600 women. It was a women's conference in Minnesota where I live. And I spoke at that conference. And what happened was somebody was in the audience that was like, oh my goodness, we have to have her. So I ended up speaking at this other person's conference, and it was about 6 months later. In the process of that 6 months, I wrote my book, How to Win. And what I did was I had the book available. Now, I gave several copies of the book away as just giveaways and goodwill. And, I know my audience and I want to help people. So I gave it away to some young people. The second conference I spoke at, I think live there was 1,000, and I think there was another 300 online. So we gave that away, but I had the opportunity to sell that book in the back. From the sales of that book, there was another person that got a hold of the book and looked me up to see where in the world does she live. Well, now I am going to an event. I'll be doing something with the Milwaukee Bucks. That's the professional basketball team. They have a women's event called Her Day. Milwaukee Bucks, Herd, right? So Her Day. And I'll be doing something for that where we will have the opportunity to sell more books there. So it becomes a little bit of a, rolling the snowball. The snowball is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the book creates curiosity. It's a marketing tool. The book can also be used as a tool, another tool when I am speaking. I could wrap it right into the fee and give everybody a book, because in that little book, How to Win, there are some note pages. So depending on how your book is set up, it could be course materials. It could be secondary revenue generator. It's an authority builder, and it can absolutely be the very big one thing. And that is a confidence builder. It's just such excitement to have your book in your hand and look at it and say, there it is. I got that out of my head and into the wide world. But there's many ways that you can rev gen from your printed word. And so I don't think everybody is right for writing a book. I don't think a book is right for everybody, but I do believe a book is right for a number of people. But I think you should be crystal clear on why. What is the why? And that comes back to really good marketing, figuring out what's the message and why is the message important. I see a lot of authors that write and they don't sell very many books. And then that has the opposite effect. If you've written your heart out and edited and you've spent thousands, and lots of people spend 20, 30, 40, $50,000 on a book that goes nowhere. Yeah, it's crazy. It can be a real bummer. One of my coaching clients 2 years ago wrote a book. She unfortunately lost her husband on her 50th birthday trip to Mexico. He had a heart attack and, a freak, just unfortunate thing. And she wrote a book about what she learned about this. And it really is a financial book because she was 50 and wasn't the head of the finances. Well, when she went down this road, she knew she really needed to write the book for healing, but she found an editor that really isn't a book editor. Bad marketing plan, right? And then she went to a book publishing company that told her it would be another 18 months. So that wasn't a great fit for her because she was a widow that was grieving. A shorter, faster process, less expensive might have been better. Well, she was a coaching client and we spun that around a little bit and saved her probably, I'm going to say conservatively, we probably saved her 6,000, euro. So I don't know, $7,000, something like that, whatever it is today. Right. But I think that's a lot of money, and in the scheme of things for a big company, it might not be a lot, but I think that for a solopreneur, that's a lot. So if you're going to do this book thing, I think you need to think it through and get some good input and beware of where you get the advice from. Look at the track record. So
Great
don't just
advice.
be marketed to, because there's a lot of talented, Deirdres out there in the world that's their job is to market. Your job as a consumer is to understand what your needs are. Truly understand what your needs are before you buy.
Yes. Okay, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about networking and the difference between strategic networking and random networking.
Yes. Most people, I see here in the US, there's lots of events from a chamber of commerce to, an association type group or a conference. And what I see is oftentimes people don't have a strategic marketing plan to why and where they network. So here's 3 quick tips. Don't be impressed with how many people are in the room, because you can be in a room, if you're, Harrods and you're in Walmart networking, you're not going to find your clients, right? And equally as much, if you have Walmart type items and you're in Harrods, they will see no value in you. And so we have to be smart about the rooms we're in. So the first thing I want to speak to is don't judge a room by its number. Just like you wouldn't judge a book by its cover, don't judge a room by its number. When people say, oh, there was only 100 people there, I thought it would be bigger. I'll tell you what my secret mind says. You had 0 plan and you are on the McDonald's Super Size Me plan, which I wonder how that's working for you. And so when I go to an event, I use this, my PSA, plan, scan, action. Plan. If you do not plan who you need to meet, either personally or professionally, we all have personal needs, and there's businesses out there that will sell to you and help that. When your personal house is in order, your professional house is easier in order. So who do you need to meet personally? Who do you need to meet professionally? And who did you just meet that you could brag on? Because that makes you look like a bigger person, that you're not just, Sally the salesperson trying to make a quick buck. So that to me is a plan. What do you do if you show up late? What's that plan? Most people walk in, they've got, if it's a lady, a purse on one hand or, big jacket or whatever, and you come in and you look unprepared. People, you come with that vibe. It's human nature. So you don't really have that ability. So you need to plan who is it you need to meet. And if I leave with, 1 to 4 good connections, it was successful. I don't care how many people were in the room, because I can't logically grab, 50 cards unless you're doing the cold call thing. So if that's your strategy, then go for it. But for most people, that's not their strategy. So that networking piece, I think, is crucial. And another tip is most people stay in the networking group that they've outgrown. And that's a terrible marketing plan. So if you continue to stay in swimming in the same pond, you know, you're going to stay in that same thing. If you're a funeral home, right? Yes, you're marketing to that same pond, but what you might be doing is doing some outward marketing to people that could be moving to the area. So you are moving outside the pond. And I use a funeral home as an example because people get that. That's a very personal and very local business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a service. So like they say, the goldfish is only going to grow as big as the bowl will hold. The same is true with your networking.
Yeah, and great tips. I love the PSA. Definitely, I think everybody listening will be applying that going forward. And so you mentioned action, and I'm curious what action or thoughtful follow-up is really good after you've connected with somebody in a networking event.
For sure. So that, the PSA is the plan. When you get there, the scan the room. I stay away from people that look like they are a circus or that look negative or nervous. I go for the best looking people in the room. And what I mean by the best looking is the people that have confidence, not cocky. People that look happy, that look welcoming. Because when I'm walking into a room, I want to feel welcome. I'm already maybe a little, apprehensive. I want to feel welcome. The action is, what is your follow-up plan? What is your follow-up plan that you will market yourself as a person first before your service to your potential client or to the new people you meet? Action, I think, is the one that people don't do. And the old adage, the fortune is in the follow-up, it absolutely is. I would venture to say, here's a question for listeners. How many of you have business cards sitting on your desk or in a wallet or a pocket that you've done nothing with, and you look at the card and you have no idea who that person is? Here's a tool. Here's an action tool that you can do. Look them up on LinkedIn, find out a little something about them, make a quick phone call and say, if you don't even remember what event it is, you should maybe do a little research, but you can just say, you be honest. Action and accountability is transparency too. Hey, Deirdre, I have your card on my desk, and this is a voicemail or a live call. I have your card on my desk, and we met at an event, and I thought enough to you to grab the card. But in all honesty, I set the card and it got shuffled around my desk. And I know that I don't collect cards of people that I don't want to either help or serve. So I would just love to get 5 minutes that we might reconnect, rekindle the relationship, and find out a little bit more about how we could help one another. There's your script.
Love it. So simple. Like I say, transparent, quick, sharp, nice. Oh, who wouldn't respond to that and be like, yeah, let's catch up for 5 minutes?
Absolutely. And that's a great voicemail. And it doesn't matter whether you're in England or Ireland or, Canada or America. When you just have a bit of an honest and transparent, but you have to tell them why. Mm-hmm. I thought enough, or it was important enough for me to hold this card, and it's moved around my desk, and I just want to be honest. I know we needed to connect, and I just want to get that first bold step forward.
Fantastic. Love it.
That's good marketing. It does create
marketing.
Curiosity. Right?
Yeah. So Kelly, I'm super excited about our upcoming event in April this year, 2026 in Ireland, which we intentionally built as a 2-part experience. But first off, why don't you just talk to me a little bit about your connection with Ireland and why you decided to partner with me on this?
Well, it was interesting because LinkedIn is a powerful marketing tool. And, Deirdre, you did the ultimate. You created some curiosity, and lo and behold, here we are. We connected, and over these last many months, almost a year, we've talked back and forth. But I have been married to an Irishman. He's a chef. And so I've been married for more than 28 years. And so I'm back and forth to Ireland quite often. And it is definitely an interest to share some of the knowledge and produce something internationally. So this is just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to do just that.
Oh, I'm so excited for it. And it's going to be epic.
Oh, it's going to be fast paced too. We're going to be moving and shaking. So people will be learning and entertained. We can't say that we'll have lots of ha-has, but I think you're going to have some ha-ha moments and some ahas as
Oh,
well.
yeah. For sure. Ha and aha. And we've intentionally designed this as a two-part experience for people who attend. So part of this looks like a 2-day training event, essentially, and then a facilitated networking lunch with a wider audience that forms part of that. So how about you share why we landed on that structure?
Absolutely, because we'll start with marketing because everything comes with great messaging and clarity. And so, Deirdre, you'll be teeing that up for all of us so that we can really get our messaging sharp and honed. And if we don't have sharp messaging, at least understand the structure and the process in doing that. And most people are very confused when it comes around marketing. They just throw something out there and hope that it works. Well, we want to turn your hope into real help. And that's where this marketing piece will come in. And the other piece is people do not know how to sell. They are very salesy. We want to take an approach that is different, that if you're great in sales, we'll be able to elevate it. And if you're starting in sales, we aren't going to overwhelm you. How do we marry that up? Because we have a very specific room. It's a limited seating, and we want to make sure that the people in the room can truly benefit. Now, this wider event, the networking, I have facilitated probably over 100, maybe it's 150 strategic, structured networking events where you are actually learning and practicing on people that you could do business with. Everybody's in the same boat and we're learning together. So this networking lunch will be great. Don't think speed networking or speed dating or something that is very trite. You will actually be able to look and identify who could be potential prospects. So this wider event, I'm excited about. It's fun. People really learn, and you'll leave with some connections that you can do business with or expand your wider circle and understand why, it's important to expand that wider circle. So I'm really excited about welcoming lots of people to that luncheon and the right people into the 2-day program with us.
It's going to be absolutely epic. So if somebody wants 2026 to be their best year yet, you need to be ready to come along with an open mind about your marketing, about your sales, and about your networking. Let's talk about who this event is not for, Kelly, because you said it's about the right people in the room and making sure that we're circling in rooms that we know are going to be beneficial for us. So let's talk about who it's not for.
Well, I think it's not for the person that has no desire to change. I think that would be one. I think that it's great to have a healthy sense of skepticism, but I think that if you really want to help grow your business, whether you're a founder or you are somebody that is, really scaling, there will be something there for every one of you that are in the room. I think it's for somebody that really wants to sharpen their saw and really become good at effortless sales, at effortless conversations, and be getting structure around what you're doing and improving upon. So it's for those people that really want to grow, that are ready to just say, I need help. I don't want to do this alone anymore. Or we're having some success, but I want to check in because I'm ready to grow. I think that is really our target audience. And the naysayers, don't register. Stay home.
Yes.
If you're
And
not
so
ready to go,
anybody who,
stay home. If you're not ready to have some fun, stay home.
yeah, if you're not ready to grow, don't go. Simple as that.
Exactly. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for anybody who's hit a revenue plateau, for anybody who's about to take on a salesperson or a marketing person, doing the work that we're going to do in the room is going to set your team up and your business up for future success. So if you're in that space, this is also for you. So Kelly, if somebody is listening and thinking, that sounds like a room that I need to be in, what would you say to them?
I would say that you need to grab the link and go in and apply, register. We want to know a little bit about you. Deirdre and I are going to research who you are. We want to know who's in the room and how we can best help you. And that's why this room isn't a room for 150 people. Because what I want to do, if I'm traveling across the pond, so to speak, I want to be able to pour into those business owners that would really like to grow, that would like to improve their connections, improve their sales, and get your marketing on track. This is a hands-on training. So we'll ask you to bring some things so that you can best be prepared. Because 2 things I don't like to waste. I can make more money, but I can't make more time. And so I want to invest my time into those folks that really would like to grow and want to do things better and maybe a little different, but just continue to work towards excellence.
Yes. And I think the same. Expect us to reach out to you in advance. And
Absolutely.
also know that this is an international networking event. It's not just going to be Irish folks. There's going to be folks from the United States and other
Yeah.
countries traveling to Ireland for this event. So if you're a business owner and you want to expand your network internationally and grow your connections, this is not to be missed. Grab the link below the video and we'll see you.
Absolutely. Can't wait. This is a chance for both Deirdre and I to share our networks as well, because you do need to practice what you preach. I think it's important. So if you look us up on LinkedIn, you'll see the presence that we have. And I think that presence, I'd like to gift some of that forward to people and connect people across the world to grow great business and serve people at the highest level. So grab the link. And if you have to think about it too much, just grab the link. Let's go.
Fantastic. Kelly, thank you so much for joining me on the Master Your Business podcast. What an educational conversation it was. That was both full of ha-has and ahas, and plenty more of those to come in our in-person event soon.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
Wowzers. There were so many truth bombs in today's episode, but let's recap with 3. First, clarity breeds confidence, not the other way around, despite what you might think. Second, if sales and marketing aren't aligned, you are leaking revenue. Full stop. That's it. And third, the rooms you're in matter. If you've outgrown the goldfish bowl that you're in, you need to expand into a bigger one. So here's your one actionable step that you can action immediately from listening to this episode. Go away, audit your messaging. Ask yourself, if my sales conversation and my marketing content sat down for coffee, would they sound like they're the same person? If the answer is no, that's what you need to work on next. And if this episode lit a fire under you and maybe you're thinking, ooh, this is something that I'd like to learn more about, go and check out the show notes where Kelly and I are hosting an in-person event. Also, if the networking session resonated to you, go back and listen to my Master Your Business episode on building a category of one brand. It will connect the dots beautifully for you. Okay. If this conversation helped you see your business differently, share it with one entrepreneur who's stuck at a revenue plateau right now. And if you're loving the Master Your Business podcast, take 30 seconds to rate, review, and follow the show wherever you're listening in today. Because the more founders we help master sales, messaging, and momentum, the fewer brilliant businesses stay invisible. And that is the mission right there. Until next time, keep mastering your business.